Hi everyone, I'm Chad White with SunWest 1031 here in Albuquerque. I was asked to give you guys a quick overview of what a 1031 exchange is and how it could benefit you and your clients. Let me start out by saying 1031 exchanges are widely known but hardly used and even less understood. They're an extremely basic concept that you can easily overthink, and many people do, but it can also get very complex very quickly depending on the investor's situation. But here's the good part. If you have a client who's an investor and they want to sell a property to buy another better property as an investment, you can suggest a 1031 exchange, which saves them capital gains tax. This makes you look like a rock star broker, but also suggesting a 1031 exchange could double your commissions in 180 days or less. Let me explain. If your investor decides it's in his best interest to perform a 1031 exchange on the investment property, as the broker, you'll get commissions for selling the relinquished property. You can immediately start helping your investor find a replacement home, which you will also earn the commission on. Both properties must be closed within 180 days of each other to qualify for the 1031 exchange. So not only do you create value for your client, but you've also had an opportunity to double your commissions in a short period of time. Now, what are the benefits for the taxpayer for performing a deferred tax exchange? Well, there's boosting cash flow, upgrading to more valuable property, increasing leverage, diversification, recapturing depreciation, and these are all in the name of wealth accumulation. Like I said before, the basic concept is very simple, but can get complicated depending on the creativity of the parties involved. There are so many different ways that a 1031 can add value to a deal if you understand the basics first. So what is capital gains tax? Capital gains is the profits that are made from the sale of an investment property. It's the difference between the purchase price of the property and the selling price. Depending on your tax bracket, long-term, meaning the property was held for longer than a year, can be anywhere from 15% to 35%. That can be a big chunk. Okay, so what's a 1031 exchange? It's a tax strategy created by the IRS over 100 years ago to help real estate investors, big and small, in an effort to accumulate wealth by deferring capital gains tax. Instead of investors having to pay capital gains tax on the sale of an investment property, they can roll the proceeds over into a new investment property of equal or greater value. That allows the investor to utilize the entire amount of the proceeds to invest in a new investment property instead of paying taxes and losing the momentum the investment has created. There are a few rules and regulations that need to be recognized, as well as timelines that need to be followed. The first rule is that you must use a QI or a qualified intermediary such as SunWest 1031 to facilitate the exchange. Second rule is the property needs to be an investment property. It cannot be the taxpayer's personal residence or vacation home. And the next rule is it must be like-kind property. Again, this refers to the property being used as an investment property. You cannot perform an exchange with a disqualified party. This includes certain family members such as siblings, ancestors, lineal descendants, spouses, and anyone related through marriage. And this also includes entities owned by the taxpayer. And as far as timelines go, you must identify potential replacement properties within 45 days of the first closing. And you must finish the exchange within 180 days by closing on the final replacement property by the 180th calendar day. So what's the process and what's SunWest's role? The process is pretty straightforward and simple to perform. You would list the investment property just the same as you always do. You'd also negotiate the same. There's a paragraph in the purchase agreement to elect to do a 1031 exchange. Be sure to fill this out correctly. When terms have been agreed upon and the purchase agreement has been signed, you'll contact the QI of your choosing and tell them you're ready for a 1031 exchange. We'll ask you for a copy of the purchase agreement and some basic personal information from the taxpayer to start. Just name, address, and email address. We will begin to work directly with the closing agent at the title company to ensure a smooth exchange. You'll close as usual, but instead of walking out of the closing with a check, the proceeds will be wired to the QI for safe harbor. The QI will hold the funds until they release them for the closing and the purchase of the replacement property. After the first closing, the taxpayer has 45 days to identify potential replacement properties. We only need the address of potential replacements to count as identified. Once you have identified the properties within the proper time limit, you have another 135 days to close. Again, SunWest 1031 will work directly with the closing agent of the title company to ensure a smooth closing. SunWest will wire the funds to the title company on the day of closing. After closing, we'll email you all the important documents to supply to your CPA for tax time. So what's the cost? Our standard exchange fee is $1,150. How can you get started? First, you can go to our website. If you or your clients have any questions, that's a great place to start. If you have a purchase agreement signed and have a closing date and you're ready to go, you can call us and get the process started. Just provide us with the signed purchase agreement so we can start pulling information from the official document. The sooner we start the process, the better. Lastly, think about this. If you take $1 and double it every year, it'll take you 21 years to get to $1 million. It's actually $1,048,576. But if you take that same $1 and double it every year, but take into consideration the net tax of 35% on each year's profit, in that same 21 years, you will have only accumulated $22,371. Thanks for your time. We look forward to working with you. Again, you can reach me at chad@sunwest1031.com, or you can go to our website, sunwest1031.com, for more videos and more educational information. Thank you.